Nigeria's national interest as a foreign policy objective has centered on the protection of national sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as the establishment of a self-reliant economy. With more than 180 million inhabitants, Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa and the seventh most populous country in the world. Nigeria is also Africa's largest economy and 26th in the world with immense growth potential. The perception of any country is a vital ingredient in assessing her international standing and image. Today on Dateline 360, we will take a look at the efforts of the federal government at enhancing our country's image in the diplomatic market. Thank you for staying on the NTA. I am Lydia. One of the goals of President Muhammadu Buhari at the inception of this administration was to erase the negative image of the country as well as strengthen her relations with the world. Oyeyemi Ajayi, in this report, examines Nigeria's foreign policy right from independence, making this narrative a pan-African concept.
Right from independence, Nigeria's foreign policy had centered on Africa, which made it a pan-African concept. With the initiation of the three concentric circles, Nigeria's foreign policy hinges on three circles, with circle focused on the main nucleus or priority of the foreign policy, which is the national interest. And this has been the determinant of Nigeria's involvement or relationship with any country.
Nigeria's foreign policy is clearly stipulated in the 1999 constitutions. And the cardinal objective of Nigeria's foreign policy is the promotion and protection of the national interest. Now, when you talk about the image of a country, it's an aggregation of issues like good governance, the level of corruption in a country, infrastructure, human and natural resources, endowment, and the most important is the issue of security.
With this, Nigeria's role in the international space will definitely not be underestimated, as much can be reflected on our population size being the most populous black nation in the world, following the fact that out of every 4 black people seen in any part of the globe, at least one of them is a Nigerian. Today, Nigerians are seen in every part of the world, with many excelling in their fields of endeavor, but some tend to be putting stain on the image of the country.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs initiated, and the National Economic Diplomacy was launched. It was launched by the Vice President. Now, that action was to reposition the over 100 mission Nigeria had abroad to play a critical role in selling Nigeria, in debunking the negative media narratives, to engage the media organizations in their host countries, to promote the positive side of Nigeria. You see, when you were outside Nigeria, about 3-4 years ago, prior to this administration, it's very difficult to convince an investor to come into Nigeria, taking into consideration the negative media narratives being bandied around.
The inception of President Muhammadu Buhari was to erase the negative image of the country, as well as strengthen our relations with the world. The fight against corruption campaign, which has been widely commended, is said to be paying off. Little wonder that the Nigerian president was acknowledged the continental anti-corruption crusader. Also, the establishment of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission was to give Nigerians in diaspora a voice and bring them closer home, and this becomes a window for them to be able to make their plights known to the government.
The media has a critical role to play because they reach out to the larger population. And now we live in a global village. Whatever happens, it quickly resonates around the globe through the media. And the media's role is therefore, especially here in Nigeria, the media's role is to project the positive side of Nigeria. And that is where, again, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through Nigerian missions abroad, have also a role to play by engaging the media in their host countries, bringing to the fore the positive sides, the huge investment potentials that Nigeria had, and reach out to the business communities, to the technocrats, to bureaucrats in their host countries to market Nigeria. So as I have said, the aggregation of a country's image comprises the issue of infrastructure, which the federal government presently is addressing. It also comprises the issue of education, which the present government is also addressing. The issue of security, which is one of the cardinal objectives of this government, is squarely being addressed because security plays a pivotal role. If investors are not sure of their safety, of their investment, they will not come.
According to scholars of social sciences, much has been said, written, discussed, and practical steps taken about Nigeria's national image. However, most things said, discussed, or even carried out aimed at addressing the nation's negative image both at home and abroad did not yield the desired impact. In this package, Anthony Forson examines the potentials of Nigeria's cultural sector's capacity to help drive the promotion of the nation's image positively.
The term culture may be referred to nationals and their nation. Therefore, culture is directly linked with their social character, their relationships, and the rules guiding their way of life. Nigeria's cultural heritage is shaped by the country's multi-ethnic groups, which is captured in its 572 languages. However, one question that has often been asked is there a relationship between the culture and image of a country, considering it from a sociological point of view? If this question is true, then Nigeria's national and international image is a serious issue that matters so much because of the impact it can have on the country's psychological, economical, sociocultural, political, and on the international scene.
The more you begin to appreciate and understand the differences between, people, the more you begin to appreciate and also understand and respect the different ways of lives of people. So it's like breaking down these barriers. And I think this is exactly what we try to achieve by the Abuja Carnival, for instance, where you try to bring on one big canvas the various cultural malls and cultural activities of the different ethnic groups. And then you now begin to see areas of similarity at the same time as you see areas of differences.
Little wonder the efficacy of culture as a potent tool for shoring up nations' image has given birth to organizations to help countries develop their cultural heritage, as is the case with the United Nations World Tourism Organization, saddled with the responsibility of galvanizing nations around the world to develop their cultural heritage, which has been identified as a low-hanging fruit.
Welcome to Nigeria. It's an open country for you. It's a country that embraces you and welcomes you. The world has not heard that so clearly yet. And we need to build up to reach that point where people would feel that they can, and it's sincere, and it's doable, and it's enjoyable as well.
Realizing this, the Nigerian government has initiated policies and programs that will help use culture to drive its image, as was the case in Ethiopia when Nigeria, among its sister nations, got a standing ovation for its drive to showcase its culture and promote the country.
We are a country of almost 200 million people, rich in cultural heritage, which you will all see very soon in colors, dances, music, languages, festivals, among others. We're a country of very peaceful and hospitable people.
If you look at our traditional institutions, they are the opinion modelers in every facet of our community. Because culture is about the people, our image, our language, our food, our clothing, and our good self in its totality. So we must see the importance of reaching out culturally to communicate to every community in Nigeria. And a lot of issues we have will be a thing of the past.
There's no country in the world that can boast of the cultural diversity of its people compared to Nigeria, but that we have not been able to really tap it into a serious economic block in our national development remains a very painful part of our life, which I don't know how long can we continue. And if we don't do it fast enough, even the value of the cultural heritage will be going down. Because the young people that are coming up, if they don't see anything that is their cultural heritage, you are not promoting it, they don't see anything that they have inherited, as time goes on, we will even forget that we had cultural heritage in the country. And that will be very, very disastrous.
If you don't market it and expose it to the world, nobody will know what you have. Now, you have a chain reactions of people who will be involved. The hotelers, the marketers, the few ones who also benefit from the visitors that we are going to be having. So government must involve the private sector to make money back. Because anything you see that private sectors involved, they always want to do it better. And you improve on those things. Because there are many things in Nigeria that many people don't know in the world.
With the foregoing, it is established that culture and communication is indeed a potent weapon for promoting national image.
To avoid the dire consequences of a recession and an urgent need to shore up foreign reserves is a major reason for economic diversification as a matter of priority. Mariam George Jitubo examines the issues at stake and why government must encourage this effort, as it is the only viable way to survive the current environment of global economic uncertainty with the volatility of oil price.
Nigerian economy is a mono economy, depending on oil as a major source of national income. Nigeria is making several efforts to drive the nation's economic fortunes through major government policies aimed at diversifying the economy. Diversifying the economy requires that the economic space be dissected to give room for other commodities other than crude oil, which had been and is still Nigeria's main revenue driver, to be harnessed to contribute their quota to the country's overall gross domestic product, GDP.
Oil still accounts for about 94% of our foreign earnings. But of course, the principle of diversification is that we should move away from heavy dependence on oil in order to diversify the economy.
If we are going to tap the diversity of products, opportunities and resources that Nigeria has, we would have to be more than we currently are. We would have to take our education and growth more seriously. Otherwise, what you will have is people coming from other countries where they see the resources that we don't see.
For too long, the country has been relying solely on oil resources, as though it has nothing else to fall back on. This has been the lie that had held the nation captive, denying it from exploring other opportunities that abound across the length and breadth of the nation, such as those inherent in the telecom sector, which has been a major economic hub.
NITDA is to the internet community what HCC is to the telecommunications community. Both are regulatory authorities, they are regulatory agencies regulating and ensuring that a level playing field is provided for operators in both sectors, subsectors. And I'm happy to say that a lot of improvement have occurred in those places.
And with the declining revenues from crude oil exports, the Buhari administration has thrown its weight in the rapid development of its agricultural and solid mineral resources to save the nation from the harsh effects of lower crude oil prices.
I would suggest that in addition to the government needs to look at the infrastructure and the institutions as well as the general macroeconomic environment. Now, the macroeconomic environment, I feel, is easier for the government to deal with in the sense that if they have policy stability, in the sense that you don't change policies regularly, you keep the policies in place for long and give them time to come into fruition. Well, when you keep changing the policies, then there's a shorter time span for investors to plan their investments and put together what they want to do. So it becomes a problem. I would not want to take part in long-term investment if I feel that in 6 months, the laws that are supporting what I am investing in will change.
To unlock the potential of the real oil manufacturing sector and position it for effective growth, value-added productivity and job creation, the Central Bank of Nigeria established a 300 billion naira real sector support facility, RSSF. The fund is expected to enhance the flow of credit to the private sector and enhance the productive capacity of the economy. The intent of the facility is to support large enterprises for startups and expansion of financing needs of about 500 million naira and up to a maximum of 10 billion naira to qualified firms, as the case may be.
My key concern is that the right framework should be set up for its implementation and for its monitoring to ensure that it meets the targets and the objectives that have been set for it.
Experts have the view that when government starts to support social standards, stabilize macroeconomic indicators, and coordinate the development with states and towns, it could result in economic growth and development in multi-sectors that will improve the GDP index and let Nigeria turn its natural resources into national wealth.
There is no corner of the world that one cannot find a Nigerian, as it is widely believed that Nigerians are some of the most.
Yes, that means you have a problem. I don't know if you understand. Sure. So you need to play your part to make things work here. If you create bad image for Nigerians or Africans here, you
is the good side area. You understand?